It is impossible to give and not receive in return, unless you yourself believe that you live only on the supply from your work, your bank account, and your investments. And when this is what you believe, then this is what you'll experience. And remember that as you do to others, so it will eventually be done to you. Remember that your thoughts, words, and actions of today will take on form in your experience in days, months, or years to come. Sometimes the sowing will take years to grow into its harvest, and the sowing will have been forgotten. However, rest assured, whatever you do today will return to you in some related form, although you may never recognize it as such or perceive the connection. This is directly out of the Christ letters. When we give, so we're going to talk about giving because this is a issue, something for me, giving. And sometimes we overgive, which is impossible if our beliefs are lined up right. But sometimes we do overgive because of our beliefs, right? Okay, so let me talk about this. Now, let's say that you decide you're going to do something for somebody else. You pass a person on the street and this person asks for your jacket. They need it and they don't have one, and so you give them your jacket. Now, what a wonderful gift this is that you have done for this person, and it will be shortly returned back to you. You can literally go off, give somebody your jacket, and leave rejoicing that very soon, not only will your jacket be replaced, but you will be blessed in some way because of this blessing that you gave to someone else. Now, here's what negates that. Your belief, the underlying belief. So if you go off and somebody asks for your jacket and you think, oh yeah, I better give it to them. They look cold, and you give them your jacket, and then you walk away and you think, well, now I'm cold. Now I don't have a jacket. What a fool I am. Why would I do that? Why would I give my jacket to somebody? As soon as you've done this attitude has completely undone the work of the goodness that you did. And it will not be returned back to you. Because look at the frequency in which you gave. That is what will be returned back to you shortly. Your belief of what an evil thing this is that I have done to myself by giving away something that was mine to someone else. What a horrible thing I've done to myself. That's what will be returned back to you. Everything depends on how we're doing it. Every single thing depends on how we're doing it. So let's say that you're gifting somebody something. You're like, oh, I want to take this person on a trip. And you take them on a trip. Now, because you've done this, you will be blessed to the extent that you bless others. So if you do this for someone else, I remember, taking my sister on a trip. She was a single mom. And she had never been on a trip before. And I just thought, oh man, this is going to be awesome to be able to surprise her like this. So she's the most wonderful sister ever. So I tricked her into this to basically get her. I wanted her. I told her, hey, could you come and babysit for me? Meanwhile, she has kids, right? She's probably was super annoyed that I wanted her to ditch her own kids and come up and watch my kids. But either way, she's telling me yes. This is many years ago. This is like, I don't know, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. Who can keep track anymore? Anyway, so she's like, no, it's lined up, I'll come. Like, we lived in separate countries, and she was going to come to my country and watch my kids so that I could take a trip. This is how generous and sweet she is. So she's like, okay, yeah, no, all good. And we were going to look at booking her flight or whatever it was to come up to me. And I was like, okay, go get your passport. Anyways, last minute I was like, dude, you're totally not coming up to babysit my kids. We're taking you on a trip. And she was like, what? No. Are you serious? And so we go and we take her on this trip. Now, I love every single second of that. I love how that feels of being able to do that for somebody that couldn't at the time do it for themselves. It wasn't possible for her to have done that. And it was like so rewarding to be able to do this. What a good feeling. Now, there's nothing negative that could come from that. At no point was there any regret or any negative anything that came up on my end anyways about that situation. Now here's the example. I'm giving you this example to give you this example. Now I know someone who has taken somebody else on many trips, paid for them many times. And every time that they do it, they've got this bit of a resentful attitude that they're doing it in the first place. It's like this person doesn't realize that they have a choice or that they're making decisions. Either way, the purpose in this is that they're not doing it with a good heart, but more a sense of obligation and a bad attitude, if we're being honest here. They're doing it out of a bad attitude. So they're gifting someone something. They're doing something good, but they're not doing it from a uplifted, purely, I only want to just be giving you good, this is why I'm doing it. They're not doing it from that place. There's still some ego that is involved, some selfishness, perhaps even some resentment that is there. So what happens? Well, when I look at all that I have given, it has been returned back to me. And I'm sure more is still coming. But when I look at this other person who is also blessing people but doing it with a bad attitude, what is being returned back to them is nothing. It's like it evens itself out. Okay, we gave, but we didn't give with a pure heart, so what do we receive back? Basically nothing. Receiving, but it's all about the frequency in which it's sent out. It's all about the vibration in which we're giving. So if we are giving, and as we're giving, we are saying, oh, what a dumb thing it is that I'm doing. Don't give. And I'm going to tell you why. Not just because of what's going to be returned to you, but because of the energy in which you're giving. This will be received energetically at an energetic level by the person who is receiving it. And if you feel that they are a burden, it will be received by this person, and they will begin to feel this negative way about themselves. That is what you gifted them, because it's only energy. So it doesn't matter what material thing was attached to it. It is only the energy in which it was given that will be received and returned back to you. So let's say that you want to go out and do something good for the community. And you go out and you give, and you give, and you give, and you give. be very aware of the way in which you're giving. Are you doing this out of a penance? Oh, I need to do this to make up for this thing that I did. That's the energy. And it's a selfish energy. I'm giving in this way to atone for something I did. It's about self. But when we do it out of love for other people, I'm going to go and I'm going to give some of this love that I have within me to someone else who clearly is more unfortunate than me and needs it. And when you go about it in that manner, and you go and you just give love to people through your actions, through your service, and you view it as such, here's the wonderful thing about that. When you give in this way, it is impossible to not receive back in this way. So when you are giving with a loving heart of, here, I am going to help this less fortunate person than myself, and by doing so, I am being a blessing to them and to myself and to others. Because as you bless one person, it's impossible for them to not then bless somebody else or be blessed in some other way, right? When we heal someone, let's say that someone becomes healed in some area. Let's say there's an emotional wounding. This person perhaps was very depressed. If you live with a person who's very depressed, that affects every single person in your environment, correct? So when healing is done for this one person, when you do something for one person and you heal them in this way, it is not only that one person you have affected, but you have affected the other people in their environment. And you will be blessed to the extent that you bless others. So you might visibly only see, oh, I've done this healing work with this one person. But you will be blessed to the extent in which you blessed that person. So how many other people were affected by that person's healing? Probably many. You will be blessed to that extent, to the farthest reaches of the blessings that you give out. So when you go and you volunteer and you feed a hungry person, I don't know if you've ever been around anyone who's hangry. But if you remedied that, oh well, not only have you blessed that person, you've blessed the people around them. You go and you feed someone who is hungry, well, you've blessed the person who was going to have to pay to help feed that person. You've blessed more than one person. If there was someone else who was going to help them, you've blessed two people. But you will only be blessed based on your belief. So if you go out and you feed this poor person, and then you walk away and you have a bad attitude, or you think, yeah, nothing good ever comes to me. It's like I'm doing all these good things and nothing good ever comes back. This is your belief. And speaking that belief out loud cements it, creates it, puts it into the fabric of the universe, and it will come to fruition at some point. And you will think, what an awful thing it is that I have done, that I have given and given and given and received nothing in return. Your beliefs are manifest, so you can test it out. You know what I mean? Shift the underlying belief. And when you give, when you bless somebody in some way, by doing something for them, by giving something, and this can be words. You don't need to give people material possessions. You don't need to necessarily do acts of service. You don't need to do any of these things. There's so many ways in which you can give. You can give your time to people. You can give your energy to people. You can give in so many ways. So as you give and you bless someone else, expect immediate confirmation that you did the right thing. I remember being little, going in the grocery store, shopping at Safeway. I don't know, do you guys have Safeways down here in America? Anyways, I remember giving at the counter, like putting in, I believe it was a nickel. And I'm assuming that this was for the Humane Society, because nothing's going to lure me in more than a dog-shaped piggy bank sitting on a counter. Definitely going to put money in there if I've got it. So I'm a little kid. I put a nickel in the little bank thing at the grocery counter, the donation box. Keep in mind, back in the day, a nickel, I could have bought myself something with that, some kind of candy. I go out in the parking lot and I find a dime and I pick it up, and I remember just thinking, I doubled my money. I doubled my money. I wasn't thinking, oh, I could have had 15 cents. No. I was thinking, look, I gave, and I doubled my money immediately within 30 seconds, as fast as I could walk out to that parking lot after we left. Maybe a minute, since we had groceries in tow. When we give, it is impossible not to receive back, unless we block our blessings through beliefs. There will be some people, and their whole life, nope, they give, and they get nothing in return. And it is not necessarily the attitude in which they've been giving. Maybe they have been really self-sacrificing and really doing it from a good and wonderful place. But if they have a belief that nobody does anything for me, I never get these blessings returned, if there is that underlying belief, then that is what will be created and made manifest. All we're witnessing in life is belief made visible. So it's very important what you're believing. And are you blocking the blessings that are supposed to be flowing into your life? If you think, you know what, man, I have done so much good. And you're looking around and you're thinking, and I'm not seeing it. Examine your mind. What's your mindset like? What's your attitude like? What are the beliefs that are underlying that mindset and that attitude? Now, if you look around and you think, I got all this stuff, I got all these things, and if you feel guilty about it, like, oh, I have more than other people have, and you're ashamed or embarrassed about it, think of the energy that is held within that. When you could change that attitude and you can think, you know what, I can bless other people because I'm so fortunate. And that's a completely and totally different attitude that will return back and bless you even more. But feeling ashamed and guilty is going to leave you feeling more ashamed and guilty. You're feeding the fire. You're throwing fuel on it with your emotions that are less than divine alignment frequencies. And so that you multiply them, because whatever you put out is returned back to you second by second, constantly in this second. What vibe are you at right now in this second? You know, these things matter. You need more laughter in your life. When you get more laughter in your life, things get uplifted. You know, things just work out for me. And I remember telling my one daughter, my oldest daughter, and I tell her, everything always works out for you. Everything always works out for you. Everything seriously always works out for you. And I've said that for such a long time. And she says it. And it's true. There's nothing that girl can't get, can't do. Anything she wants. And it's because of the underlying belief. So what we were talking today about is blessing others and the attitude that you're blessing them with. So has there ever been a situation where you gave and then you felt like you shouldn't, or you resented it, or you regretted it, or you thought, oh, this wasn't appreciated, or whatever it happened to be? Well, if you were doing it for the appreciation, then you were doing it out of selfish means. You're right, you really weren't doing it out of love for another person. You were doing it because you were wanting to gain something out of it. So if all you were looking for was that appreciation, then that can be your reward, is that appreciation. So if that's what you were looking for, think about the attitude in which you were given. You were looking to gain. I don't know about you, but when I love someone and I want to give them something, I'm not thinking about giving them something so that they will then appreciate me. No, I'm thinking about giving them something because I love them and I want to see them happy and enjoying their life. Think about the attitude in which you give, because don't even waste your energy giving if it's not done with a pure heart. Because however you gave, that's how it'll be returned back to you. So if somebody calls you up and they're like, hey, we're taking donations for this, and you give it, and you're like, yeah, whatever, okay, here, yeah, I'll give you this much. Think of the attitude in which you gave. Whereas if you think, okay, well, if I give $20 or $50 or $100 or $5, whatever it is, if I give that and everybody else who gets these phone calls, also gives this, well, good, what a wonderful thing. Hope these people reach their goal. They'll reach their goal for certain. And I can help and be a contributor in this world, and wonderful blessings will come back to me because I gave in this way. Feel the energy shift in that attitude, right? This is all how we do it. So if we go and we give and then we think, what a horrible thing this has done, what I've done now. Now I don't have my jacket, that guy's got my jacket, now I'm cold, now I'm like, why did I do this? When we give in this way, things will be returned to us in that way, and I don't want that returned back to me. If I was needing help, needing a jacket, and somebody gave it to me, and they gave it to me and then they went away grumbling, well, that would make me feel really horrible, wouldn't it? But if they gave it to me and they were excited to give it to me and they wanted to bless me in that way, and they went away smiling and happy, knowing that very soon a jacket would be returned back to them in the best possible way, and that they would be cared for and provided for by the divine in the best possible way, well, I could accept that jacket, and through that blessing, that would uplift me, wouldn't it? And I would go on about my way feeling uplifted, and I would spread that energy to other people as well. You need to be aware of the way it is, the interactions that you have with other people. Do your words bring life to people? Or do your words bring people down? Do you expect of people what they did yesterday? And do you repeatedly say things in alignment with that and expect them to repeat their past and bring it up over and over? Or do you expect differently of them in the future? Are you looking at only the good and loving qualities in people? Because this is how you do it. If you live with someone, if you have someone in your environment that's continuously bringing you down, draining your energy, and you can't get them to see that it is their thoughts and their words and their actions that are causing this. You may have to eliminate that person from your environment. You might have to let them go. You might have to move. You might have to, who knows? But often and almost always, it is other people's expectations, our subconscious expectations of them, that become realized. And so when we expect people to behave in a certain way, like, oh, this is going on, I'll bet this person's going to start doing this because this is what's going on, this is what they always do. This is you. This is your subconscious expectations of that person that through telepathy is received by this person and will affect their psyche and their behaviors. Our expectations become realized. And when we believe something negative about somebody else and we're not expecting goodness out of them, we are not in alignment with the divine love. We are clouded over. Our thoughts, our minds are not in alignment. And it is because of traumas from the past experiences that are repeated in our mind and expected to play out again in our future. How do we ever change our future if we keep replaying the past? It's impossible. So by letting go of all that is not that pure love, so any thoughts that are less than pure love about somebody else, let them go. You're harming that person. You're harming their psyche. And through your low frequency thoughts of another person, those thoughts are then returned back to harm you and to cause chaos in the mind. This is why there's so much confusion and so much chaos and so much turmoil and destruction in the lives of those who are careless with their thoughts and their words and their actions. People who don't see the truth, who don't realize that it is second by second, moment by moment that you're creating. Look at the room around you. Look at the room around you. There's not one thing in here, not one thing in there that was not first created in some man's mind. Not one thing. Every single thing that you are looking at first was some idea in some man's mind. Every bit of visible consciousness that you are seeing, that you are witnessing, every tiny little, every bit of it, all began with consciousness, all began with thought. Thought is creation. Now, if you are the handy type, then maybe some of the things that you are witnessing, that you're looking at, are of your actual own creation from your own hands, from materials that you put together. But like we said yesterday, if you are not, and you are just a purchaser of these things, you had a thought, you had an idea, I would like something that looks like this for this space. Then, if you couldn't create it yourself, you went out and you found it. Maybe it took some time to find exactly what it was that you wanted. Or maybe you walked in a place and you were like, oh, that's exactly what I was looking for. Depending on how quickly your thoughts materialize, will depend on how quickly you find those things that you created in your mind first. Do you understand? So our thoughts actually materialize into visible matter. This is just an example of only the material things that you have in your house, all beginning with consciousness, with thought. Now, this is the visible matter, but your emotions, the way that you're feeling, I can visibly see it in somebody. Some people cannot. Those emotions, like the wind, are basically invisible, right? They're basically not visible. I mean, they are, but they're not. Yet, those emotions that are emitted from your body's energetic system through your mind, through your thoughts, through your thinking, are sent out and return back. This is just like the material things that you see around you, right? They began as a thought, then somebody spoke about them, said, oh, I'm going to make this. And then they created it. Our emotions are the same. I'm thinking this. Ooh, now I'm speaking it. It's now created, and it's just a matter of time before it's returned back. And you wonder, oh, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I know why you're feeling that way. It's because whatever it is that you've sent out is returned back to you, and our thoughts are immediate. They're immediate. You can have a lowly thought and you could be crying. It could take you into tears in 1 second. And the next, you could have an uplifted thought and you could be laughing while you still got tears streaming down your face. Why? It's immediate. Our thoughts affect us in profound and huge ways, second to second, moment to moment, constantly, all the time. They are the fabric that we're weaving. Our thoughts, our emotions that is sent out is like a woven fabric that is weaving itself into all of this empty space that you see all around you. And at some point, there's a lag period. It will materialize as some kind of event, emotional, whatever it happens to be. So when you give with a loving thought. When we give in this way, only goodness can be returned back to us. So I love you guys. Thanks for listening. I'm just going to speak a little blessing over you here. And I'm going to do this with love from my heart, as these lessons are. These lessons are love to help to give you the means to overcome the chaos and the destructive thinking and emotions that you've experienced and that you will continue to experience throughout your life as long as you remain not in divine alignment, which is the ultimate goal. This is what we're going for, alignment with that pure love energy. Here's your blessing. Whenever you go out and you are giving, also see yourself receiving at the exact same time. See that it is impossible to give and not to receive. As you see yourself open and receptive to receiving, know that what you have given will be multiplied 10-fold, 30-fold, 90-fold, 120-fold. And even beyond this, know that you will be blessed to the extent that you bless others. Noted that you will be forgiven to the extent in which you can forgive others. When you give, and you give money, what you are giving is energy, an exchange of energy. When you give money, put blessing in that money. Put thankfulness and love in that money, even when you're buying a coffee. Be thankful for that energy. You want this thing, and you get it by giving. So there's so many opportunities to be giving and blessing others throughout a day. When you purchase your groceries, don't look at this as purchasing groceries. Look at this as blessing the people who work there by being able to have jobs. Look at every energy exchange of money that you give as a blessing. When you go out for supper, you're blessing the staff. You're blessing the restaurant owner. Always remember to put blessings in your food. But blessing money in this way will ensure that you receive back all that you have given tenfold, 20-fold, 30-fold, higher, even beyond what you deem reachable. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in here today, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Take care.